Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Price to Sell podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Campoli. And this lovely afternoon, we are going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to go right into the whole Airbnb space because I know this is an interesting topic for many people. I'm a big fan of it, and we're going to teach you a lot this afternoon. Sorry, we're going to teach you a lot this afternoon. So with me today, I have Mr. Alec Dekirmendjian, and he is the owner of Park Place, a very successful Airbnb short-term management company that I personally use, and they're just exploding. And the amount of knowledge that this guy has here, his whole team has, is just insane. So I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. What an introduction. I appreciate that.
I tried, minus the fact that I mixed up what time of day it was there. It's okay.
Fair.
No one caught that. We're good. But let's do a little background into who Alec is and just introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, thanks for the intro.
Of course.
I started off as going to school for hotel management, so I kind of always had it in me. Worked at the Ritz-Carlton for a little bit. My business partner also did hotels in Switzerland. So always had a passion for the space, but I also had passion for real estate. So, you combine the hotel management and real estate together, you come up with vacation rentals. So that's kind of how, the entire mindset on how we started was. But there was also a void in the space where nobody's doing this, right?
Yeah.
It's super difficult business to kind of run, but it's also so new that not many people know about it. So that's kind of how we started, why we're here. But yeah, that's kind of an intro.
Beautiful. So let's talk about what Park Place is.
Yeah, so we're basically a vacation rental management company. You own a condo, you want to make that 30% cash on cash rather than the 4 or 5% cap rates that long-term rentals give you in Toronto. You come to us. We basically list it on various OTAs like Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, Booking.com, and we rent it out on a night-by-night basis, from anywhere between $150 a night to all the way up to $2,000 a night. And we just earn you that ROI.
Where are we getting $2,000 a night?
Miami.
Okay. We're going to talk all about that too. So what made you what was it for you? Did you know about Airbnb? Was Airbnb already popular? Did you actually take note of this thing? There's this short-term rental space out here. Let's get in front of it early. How did you kind of position yourself? Because you are one of the biggest names that I'm aware of currently.
Yep. So it all started off with my previous company, Turnkey Equity. So we were doing it just on the side, our personal investments, couple friends here and there. We had 30 properties we were managing. We started dabbling in the Google AdWords space, the SEO space. We were growing, but there wasn't much growth happening. It wasn't quick. In comes the pandemic. The pandemic shut everything down. We were only in Toronto at the time. Pandemic shut everything down, and my partner wanted out. So I called one of our only property managers we had at the time, and I'm like, look, and I remember this vividly because I convinced my brother, my brother's wife, the kids, everyone, let's move into my parents' house because what are we gonna do for the next 2-3 weeks? We're gonna just be sitting here, not doing anything. Let's go have some fun. Let's bring it back to the olden days. So we were at my parents' house. I was in my old bedroom. I call my business partner, Nicole. Well, at the time, our property manager, Nicole. I'm like, hey, we're thinking about shutting down the company. Partner wants out. It's going to be really tough with the legislation coming in Toronto. So let's just pack it up. He's like, look, what are you going to do for the next 3-4 months? You're just going to sit there with your arms crossed? Let's at least try it out. Let's see what we can do here. So he kind of convinced me back into it. I'm like, okay, but we're going to start a new corp. I don't want to do it alone. I need you as my partner. And we have to call it Park Place. He's like, why? I'm like, because this is a name that I've been thinking about for a while. I love Monopoly. I've loved this since I was a kid. Essentially what you just told me off camera, where you're like, this is our first one in Miami, but we want to build more, right? You want to get more properties under your belt. And that's what we do. We earn you so much that we build a Monopoly for you. So I'm like, okay, we're going to do a Park Place, the most expensive piece on the board. We're going to theme it like that.
Cool.
Yeah. So this, that, and the other. We get back into it. 3-4 days we're working from home. It's distracting. There's kids running around, parents running around. It's like back at being 8 years old again. You know what I mean? Everyone's in one house. So my brother wasn't using his office space at the time because hospitality was also shut down. So I turned to Nicole. I'm like, let me pick you up. Let's start going to the office every day. And we started grinding it out, started building a team again. And yeah, that's kind of how we ended up here. With now we have 40 employees, and we're in Miami, Arizona, LA. It's kind of a cool experience to see like where it started from and where we're at now. So that's kind of the gist of how Park Place started and where we're at.
Very cool. Yeah. I didn't know that, the whole Monopoly thing.
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense now. And we were running parallels because right before COVID hit, I started a vlog series for Airbnb because I had just purchased my unit at 300 Front Street.
Right. We
just designed it, furnished it.
Sick design, by the way.
Thank you. Shout out Carmela and Amanda.
There you go.
Principe. And I was pumped, man. I started making these videos and all this stuff, and then bam, COVID hit. And I was like, and then regulations hit.
That was like, a tough one.
I don't feel comfortable and confident anymore in convincing all my investor clients to go the Airbnb route because now we don't know what's going on.
Yep.
So, and at the time I was using another property management, but I went through a switch. Ernesto introduced me to you, and what a difference. Holy crap.
You're going to make me blush on camera?
I'm going to make you blush.
This early?
And I'm going to start sweating in this nice suit you're wearing. And it's so hands-off with you guys. I forget I even own it, to be honest, which is perfect for someone like me because I have so much going on.
Yep.
And it's just all around. You guys are literally from start to finish. I haven't seen any flaws. I'm not just saying this to be
appreciate
He's not paying me either. Okay? But you guys run a seamless operation.
Well, wait till you see our Miami operation. It's phenomenal.
I cannot wait.
So we kind of, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
We kind of got lucky in a sense where, so obviously, like you just said, where you didn't feel confident in pitching it to your clients about Toronto Airbnb's legislation, the shutdown, everything was affecting it. And we felt bad too. We lost a lot of clients when the pandemic hit. So we were kind of grinding to get it back to where it should be. But we were only sitting at like 30, 40 properties at the time. So there wasn't much going on. And we're just like holding on for dear breath. And my partner came up to me. He's like, look, this was kind of like the TSN turning point where he's like, we had one property in Miami and we were managing it virtually. We were managing it from here. Our client hated us because we were in boots on the ground, right? We didn't know what we were doing. We were all trying to like put out fires from Toronto. You know, it doesn't make sense. So we got a noise complaint one night, and my business partner Cool's like, hey, I just spoke to the neighbors and they run like 8 properties in the building. What do you think if we use them as our boots on the ground? I'm like, sure, let's hire them. Let's figure out how we can make it work. He's like, no, they're going to want a revenue share. And because they're bigger than us in Miami, at least, they're going to want a revenue share. We'll take care of all the back end stuff. They'll take care of all the on the ground stuff. And I'm like, my stubbornness kicked in. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not revenue sharing with anybody. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. For 3 weeks, this guy's trying to convince me to take a phone call. Do the phone call. I absolutely fell in love with them. And I always kind of take it back to that where, what if that guy missed his flight? What if the noise complaint didn't happen? Because now we're partners. We have a corporation together. It's no longer just a revenue share. Mm-hmm. We own a couple properties together. We got the Escalade together for Turo. And we're sitting at 140 properties in Miami. So we started replicating that across different cities now. Arizona, LA. We just launched Dallas. We just launched Vegas. So it's kind of like a few key phone calls. Him keeping me in the business, him getting a noise complaint to kind of lead to that. Wait till you meet them down in Fort Lauderdale. You're gonna absolutely love them. They run a great operation.
Yeah, that's just how life works, though.
Yeah,
it's always
right place, right time.
These coincidences.
Yeah.
And like either like a negative or a massive negative just ends up turning to a huge positive.
Yeah,
it's just funny how it works. I want to touch. So a lot of people listening are Toronto. Mainly realtors.
Yep.
And I'm sure a lot of them want to hear what Toronto regulations look like. Like what if they are trying to bring a client to the Airbnb game?
Absolutely.
What do they need to know?
So basically, the gist of the Toronto regulations is that it's got to be your primary residence, which means it has to be on your driver's license. That's all the city of Toronto requires for you to be able to Airbnb it. You got to submit your driver's license with the property address on it. Then after that, you can rent it on a short-term rental basis for 180 days out of the year. anything under 28 nights. And then the other 180 days a year, it's basically you either rent it out on an executive basis or you move into it, whatever the case may be, but you can't rent out any longer under 28 nights. So what we're doing is we're maximizing the summertime, where it's busy season. So we're using the 180 days in the summertime. And you've seen with your property, one bedrooms are making like 65. That's what I meant earlier, where the city's back, like we're back in full force. Miami helped us get through the pain of the COVID restrictions in Toronto, and now it's back in full force, where one bedrooms are doing about 6,500, two bedrooms are doing 8 to 12, and then three bedrooms are 15K plus. So that's what you'll see in the summertime. Obviously in the wintertime, we rent it out on more of an executive basis, so anything over 28 nights. But that works too, because in the wintertime, students don't want to rent out a place for 12 months out of the year. They only need it for 6 months, right? A lot of film production happens in the wintertime in Toronto. So there's a lot of people needing the space on a month-by-month basis. So we maximize your ROI in the summertime, and then we try and earn you some money in the winter as well. But once you average it all out, you're still at about a 20% cash on cash. So it works out.
Yeah. And I saw those numbers last year.
Yeah.
So I have partners on my unit, and COVID were like, shit, man, like we messed up, this is not the play anymore.
Yeah.
And then last year I just kept messaging. I'm like, what's going on, guys? you seen these monthly returns or what?
Well, wait till you see this summer.
Oh, I cannot
Because
wait.
it's fully back.
Yes.
OVO just got announced. Gay Pride just got announced. TIFF, Rolling Loud just got announced.
Caravana too.
Caravana is OVO. Same weekend. And Rolling Loud, the numbers already look insane for Rolling Loud.
Wow.
September 9 to 11.
Okay.
So there's a few big events that finally got announced. We're back in the full swing of things. So I'm excited for what summer has for us. And we've seen it even on the client acquisition end. There's way more clients calling us this year to join our service than the previous 2 years. So Toronto's back.
We're back, baby.
Toronto's back, baby. I love it.
So I want to go over like some common questions again, just for the audience, because I'm sure a lot of people, and I get asked this all the time too. I'm sure you do too. It's like, so what if someone comes into my property and destroys it or damages it, right? How is that? Is it easy to take care of? Like, what's the process?
For sure. I mean, you've seen it on your end.
I have.
It happens.
And
Don't get me
scared.
wrong. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
You're renting your property out as a hotel, and you're gonna have good guests, bad guests. Obviously, we do our best to filter out the good from the bad.
You guys do good with that.
But there's always those that slip by, right? Like you could have 20 incredible reviews on your profile, but then you're throwing a party one day. You're like, you know what? I want to have 5 of my friends over. One of them's an idiot, and he fucks the place up. So that's why we're covered by insurance. Airbnb has air cover. It covers you up to $1 million. VRBO, HomeAway, and Expedia cover you up to $500,000. Booking.com has no coverage at all, but we take a pretty hefty security deposit up front. So you're always pretty much covered. Plus, of course, you have your own insurance for the property. So no matter what scale the damage is, you're always going to be covered by either one of the OTAs or your own insurance. We've never really seen too many out-of-pocket instances, unless it's just wear and tear and negligence. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
And it's pretty foolproof, because even I'll tell my story. I don't know if you guys were running mine at the time. Was
this the key, the fob?
No, this is the 20-person party.
Oh, I don't think that was us.
Yeah, you weren't yet. But I had a girl from out of the city threw a banger. Okay, 20-person party.
Was I there?
I wish I was there, to be honest. And at the time, the management team I was using, I was getting the calls from security. I had to put out the fires, stuff I don't want to be doing as a client.
For sure.
And when we saw the aftermath, this is just after we purchased, we had walls were cracked, footprints all over the walls. I think these girls were twerking, literally twerking everywhere.
Or maybe they were doing the Lebanese wall dance.
Maybe one of the other something. They tossed a 750 of tequila off my balcony.
Oh my god!
Like that could have done damage. You know what I mean? Like this is just why. This is just insane.
Yeah.
And we were flagged instantly in my unit. All this stuff. We since recovered. But long story short, what we did was Airbnb was amazing.
Yep.
They took care of. We quoted all the damage. We were reimbursed by the guest at the time.
Yep.
And it was a smooth process.
Yeah,
we had someone come in there, fix it up, and back in.
Super easy. And we're in the process of implementing our own insurance right now for the company. So just in case there's an instance where Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com doesn't cover it, we will, because we're starting our own booking website. And we need it for that anyways. So we're covered regardless. But yeah, I don't hear about too many of those instances anymore. But I remember back in the day, there was the key fob that the guest from your property accidentally dropped in the elevator shaft.
Yes.
And Airbnb covered it. So you're always covered at the end of the day.
And those instances I forgot about because you guys are so good at handling them. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And next time when there's a
blush number 3.
But we're gonna hit 5 today. Now back to Toronto. Condos. There's only a limited list.
Yep.
Right? Do you see that expanding?
I do see it expanding. I don't see it expanding in Toronto. I'm hearing about a lot of builders. Lanterra's infamous for allowing short-term rentals in their buildings and their properties. So I know that there's 2 up and coming in Etobicoke right now. Cool. And you would think, Etobicoke, not such a great market for short-term rentals. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of growth in that area right now and a lot of people wanting to stay there as well. Mm-hmm. So I know that there's 2 pre-cons in Etobicoke. Obviously, the most infamous ones are the ICE condos, 300 front, and a couple in Yorkville. Those will never change. Those will always stay as is. But in Toronto, I don't see there being too much more opportunity for buildings to start allowing it, but there's definitely a lot in the outskirts of Toronto.
And then those buildings that are currently running will
stay, hopefully
remain strong.
Yep.
Right, it's always a risk.
It's always
condo boards.
It is to an extent. Like buildings like ICE, 300 front, 155 Yorkville, 560 front. Whether or not the condo board agrees with it or not, it's always going to have to stay because it's in the declaration.
I see.
So you purchased with that in the declaration. If they overturn it, there's going to be legal action that's taken against the condo board and the building, and they never want that because it's going to essentially decrease the value of your property.
Yeah.
You're a business at the end of the day, and without that business, the value's gone.
Yeah.
So that 1,400 a square foot becomes 1,000 a square foot. Someone's got to make up for that difference. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So I don't see them changing for legal purposes, but yeah, as it stands now, they're on fire, and I think they'll continue to be.
Let's go with the top 5 performing buildings in Toronto.
300 front.
Number one?
Number
okay.
one. That's my favorite. And I'm a little biased because I just purchased a 3-bedroom in that building.
Okay.
But I only purchased in there because I love it. It's well maintained. The management is incredible there.
So you're back in Toronto now, purchasing with
So I swore that I would never buy real estate in Canada.
We had
again.
this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm a bit of a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But the deal was just too sweet to give up. I bought a 3-bedroom at $860.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What?
I closed on it last Friday.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How'd you scoop that?
A little
Who's
bit of
your realtor,
finagling.
man? Let's get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we should. Funny enough, she was actually a realtor that I deal with quite often. I saw her representing the seller.
I see.
So it was easy for us where it was an easy circumstance because I speak to her directly.
Yeah.
But of course her one of her realtors kind of started representing me in that scenario.
Yep.
So we were able to get it done. It was a bit of a back and forth for a few days, but we finalized it. We got it done. I think they were happy with it because they needed to offload. I was happy with it because I got a 3-bedroom.
That's a steal.
The 3 bedrooms are where the money's at.
For sure.
So 300 front, I absolutely love. I'm back in the market because of that, the fact alone. But ICE 12 and 14 York, 155 Yorkville, 188 Cumberland is a hot building right now.
Really? So Yorkville for Airbnb.
Yorkville's pretty good right now. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Because you mentioned 155 a lot.
Yeah.
During this, during our chat.
So
right
155 and 188, they're sister buildings.
Okay.
The only reason why I like 188 Cumberland better is because 155 Yorkville actually used to be the Four Seasons.
Yes.
And then they converted it into residential.
You can tell.
And you can tell those units are a little small. They're a little, the stovetop there's a 2-top for the stove. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really feel nice in there. But 188 is the sister building and they're full on condominiums in there. So I like that. And 560 front. Anything Tridel, I love.
True. So 560, 300 front, both Tridel.
Yep.
I like 560 as well.
Yep.
I have a client in there.
Yeah.
He's done well too.
They do really well. They're spacious units. The 2 bedrooms are easily convertible into 3 bedrooms. The 3 bedrooms are where the money's at. You're doing $15K a month in the summertime.
Interesting.
Month over month. So you're looking at like 28% cash on cash there.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I might have to look into a nice 3-bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to, I mean, you've turned your 1-bed into basically a 3-bedroom. So sleeps 8.
my 700 square feet sleeps 8 people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it does phenomenal.
It does. It does.
Phenomenal.
Little hacks out there, guys. You're going to hit us up. So now let's, Toronto's killing it. I'm happy it's back.
Yep.
As an investor myself, loving it. It's amazing. You guys crush it here. But let's talk about this expansion. Let's talk about Miami, because I close on my Fort Lauderdale home tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I am
Congrats.
uber excited right now.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah. And so let's just talk about this market, because there's been a buzz around Miami and Airbnb, and I've done a lot of research. I talk to you guys all the time. I've seen the numbers. I have other friends that are doing it now too. So let's talk about why Miami's the spot right now.
I mean, look, when everything shut down, obviously it's no secret. Everybody knows this. When Miami shut down, when the world shut down, there was only one economy that was running, and it was Miami. So it got a lot of attention at the time, but it also got a lot of investors, a lot of offices from California moving down there, from New York moving down there. ARK Invest opened 1 million square feet in the middle of Brickell. You know what that does to the square footage per square foot in the city? It goes through the roof at that point. So there's a lot of migration in Miami right now. For example, the reason why Toronto real estate has blown up over the last couple of years is because of migration and immigration. Same thing's happening down there now, but it's not coming from overseas. It's coming from within the country. Everyone from within the country was moving there, and then COVID just sped it up. If you look at the statistics, people were already doing that prior to. A lot of people were moving down to Miami, South Florida in general. And COVID just sped it up because of the tax rates, 20% tax. The reason why after purchasing my first couple properties in Miami, I swore I would never buy in Canada again, is because there's no land transfer fees. There's no capital gains. There's no tax. It's literally, you're giving away money here at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And over there, you're looking at it and you're like, wow, this is nice. This is nice to put in what I need to put in and call it a day. So that's why the market became what it is. But Airbnb also helped a lot in that sense as well, because there isn't too many restrictions down there like there is in Toronto, Vancouver. Even California has a lot of restrictions. But the market really kind of took off, and it's kind of stayed that way. It hasn't moved since. And even with this looming recession on the way, I don't think it's going to get touched down there. I think it's going to stay strong. A lot of new developments happening. Keep in mind, Miami's a city where a couple of years ago it was $700 a square foot to purchase. Now pre-cons are at $2,000 a square foot.
Yeah,
it's insane. So what's that going to do? Everything that you just bought, I just bought, everyone bought, it's going to bring up your per square foot naturally. So I don't think the recession is going to affect it at all. I think it's here to stay, and this market for Airbnb is always going to be there. It's the vacation capital in North America.
Yeah.
Where else do you go? So excited about that. Excited for your property. That thing's going to do incredible. I actually did a refresher on it right before we came on the podcast. I'm looking at the cap rates. I'm like, this is going to be nice. 12% cap rate.
Nice.
Once you put a pool in there, you're looking at around like 16%.
Wow.
Where do you get that in Canada?
Yeah, 100%.
People get excited. My dad gets excited for 4%.
Yeah, literally. People are like 5 and 6 is good here.
Yeah.
It's still unheard of.
Yeah.
I beat out 12 offers for that thing.
Amazing.
I had to go full realtor mode, buyer mode.
Yeah.
And like, shout out to Gillian and Beth who helped me out. But I was like, guys, I got to go Toronto mode on this. Like, I'm overpaying. I do not care.
Yeah.
If the appraisal doesn't come in, I do not care. I need this house, you know? And that's what happened. The appraisal didn't come in. I got to come out of pocket a bit, but it's so worth it.
Yeah. No, it's
so worth it.
It's going to do well.
Yeah.
It's funny you say Toronto mode, is because when I was dealing with the realtor here for the 300 front property, I'm like, I'm going Miami mode on this. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's an absolute like wild west down there. Nothing goes. There's no comps. There's no this. No. You just got to just negotiate all day. So it's a bit of a different market, a bit of a different feel, but I know what you're meaning. Like, it's the wild west. You have to do what you have to do to lock down that property. At the end of the day, no matter what you bought it at, how overpriced it was, or how many offers there were on it, the value will always catch up and exceed.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, for sure. No, honestly, the appraisal wasn't even that far off.
Yeah.
But I even told the realtors, I'm like, guys, we're going in at an odd number. Okay, 12 offers. I need like a 250 at the end. Like I don't want like a 650. I want like a 657, 250. That's gonna win it.
Yeah.
And that's what won it. It wasn't that price, but
And it's a modern looking place too.
Oh, it's 2 years old.
Yeah, it's modern, it's
I'm
beautiful, it's stunning, and the area is fantastic. Fort Lauderdale is on absolute fire right
You
now.
know, I've never been there.
Really?
Never.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's a different world. So there's 2 markets in South Florida.
So I wanted to talk. So while you're getting on this, let's talk about what are the hot markets in Florida right now for Airbnb.
So obviously there's Brickell, which is city center. It's like the financial district. It's downtown Miami. South Beach is good, but there's a lot of restrictions in South Beach because of the hotels. That was the negotiation that Airbnb had with the city. So not much potential in South Beach, but Brickell is good for, you know, your 1, 2, 3 nighters where it's people coming for an event or a party or just experience the restaurants, the nightlife, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have your families that want to go, right? Your, you know, parents, 2 kids, aunt, uncle, their kids, and they all want to stay in one house. That's where Florida, that's where Hollywood, that's where Pompano comes in. Because there are no houses in downtown Miami. I mean, you can go north Miami, but at the end of the day, you want to be in civilization as well. And Fort Lauderdale is very well established, very well built. So definitely one of the hotter markets out there. I mean, every time Jay-Z goes there, he pays $300,000 a month for his Airbnb, and he stays in Fort Lauderdale.
Interesting.
So there's definitely a lot of potential in that area. That Las Olas area is incredible.
Yeah.
You guys did a fantastic job.
Yeah, we're right there.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And you do hear about like these pre-con buildings that are Airbnb focused.
Yep.
Right. So how does, like, question that crosses my mind, and like I know it would work, but naturally I'm sure people may think this way. It's like you have an entire building occupying at the same time. Everyone's throwing the units on at the same time. Does that competition or like that entire building being used as Airbnb affect rates?
For sure. So one of the hottest buildings in Miami right now is 1200 Brickell Bay, because there's a certain barrier in Miami that people, especially the snowbirds, run into, where a lot of the Airbnb buildings are paired with a hotel, like the W, which is 485 Brickell, Four Seasons, a lot of the Conrad. And when you're going into a building like that to purchase there, the liability is a lot higher. So you can only get financing for up to 50%. There's only one building in Brickell where we purchased, 1200 Brickell Bay, where it's all residential, but the entire building is Airbnb, or vacation rentals, that is. And you can put down 20% because it's not attached to a hotel, no liability, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm a huge advocate. And this is going to happen over the next 2-3 years as well, where the market's going to get saturated because Airbnb's putting up a building, their own building, Nativo.
Yeah, my buddies bought there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's Kayak that's putting up a building. There is the Waldorf Astoria that's going up that's Airbnb friendly. There's Lofty. There's 2 or 3 other buildings as well that are going to be all Airbnb. But the key thing to look at is the statistics, where most of these buildings are 80% 1 bedrooms. There's about 15% 2 bedrooms and 5% 3 bedrooms. So you got to go for the product that is least available. So I'm a huge advocate in the 2+ dens because you can easily turn them into 3 bedrooms. Miami condos are not like, Toronto condos. They're
big,
1,1500 square feet each. Yeah. So easily convertible. Obviously 3 bedrooms are good to go there as well. You got to just have a product that isn't easily accessible, and you got to just design the shit out of it. That is the absolute key. One thing I learned from traveling to Joshua Tree for a similar project like this is down in California, they do it right. They do lifestyle photos as well. So not only do they decorate the place to the max, but they'll grab a bunch of their friends to model in the actual unit. There's a barbecue, there's a father and a kid putting hot dogs. If there's a pool, they're on the lounge or by the pool, so it gives you that full experience. So there's a lot of key details like that you implement, especially in a 2-3 bedroom or a home, that's going to allow you to stand out over the 1 bedroom that just threw IKEA furniture in there.
Definitely. Yeah. Airbnb is all about trend. Like you hop on Airbnb, you want to rent out the cool spot. You want to,
absolutely.
A bunch of people nowadays, you're going with friends, you want to take sick photos, you want to have feature wall, stuff like that. So yeah, very good point to mention. So now houses versus condos in Florida.
So my first purchase was a condo. I always advise get into the condos first, get your feet a little wet. I mean, for the snowbirds, the ones that live in the States, obviously, they already have their feet wet. They know how the financing works and everything along those lines. But definitely homes.
Yeah.
Homes are the absolute way to go. The cash on cash is always above 30%. Your cap rates are around 15%. Because you don't have too many expenses, right? You have you don't have HOA fees. You don't have any building fees.
HOA or maintenance
fees, yeah.
And they're expensive down there.
They're absolutely insane down there. But it always still pencils out. I mean, it always depends on what the deal is, right? And the way it pencils out. So it's unfair for me to say a home over a condo. If something's overpriced, obviously the condo is going to be better. But more often than not, you have a lot more flexibility with the home. You can do a lot more in design and renovations. You can buy a home for $1 million and make it look like a $2.5 million home just from the way you furnish it, the feature walls. Ernesto's house that he bought down there, I did a walkthrough with him, and I gave him a couple key points, which we'll do with your place as well. And once you introduce that I actually told him to do it, put money all over the walls and do the money buys happiness house. You know what I mean?
Sick.
So there's a lot of like key things that you can do like that, where two of our best performing properties are probably the lowest cost in purchase as far as the homes. But one is labeled the Gucci house, one is branded the Fendi house, and everything inside the house is Gucci and Fendi. And for a place like Miami, that's what they like. You know what I mean? They like. It sounds a little tacky, but it works. So you can make $1 million property look like a $2.5 million property, and it'll just go. So definitely a house.
What if I did made mine the price to sell house?
100%.
What if I put my face, just like my face on the wall?
And you can put your face on the wall. You can even put the deed to the house on the wall. And if they want, they can buy it straight through Airbnb.
Wow. Because it's priced to sell.
Because it's priced to sell.
Interesting. Okay, guys, you see my face everywhere. So you've expanded into other parts as well, right? So like Toronto's hot, Miami's hot. What else is coming up in the future that you see being really, really interesting markets? Or
so we're in Arizona, we're in LA. Like I said, LA's restrictions are a little more difficult, so we're expanding out into the Malibu, Palm Springs, Joshua Tree areas right now.
They allow it there?
They allow it there.
Okay.
And Joshua Tree is one of my favorite areas. Palm Springs, one of my favorite areas, because it's like our Muskoka, right? It's the Muskoka to the rich and famous. Everyone from LA is a 2.5 hour drive. Everybody's out there all year long. They go, they vacation. They just get away from the big city. But the main point is that there's Coachella there. Coachella is the Mecca event for all Airbnbs. Like, these houses are renting for about $60 to $100K a night. Like, it's no joke. It's no joke.
Holy crap.
So we went out there, me and my brother went out there we were going to work on a project. So we wanted to get a lay of the land at first, but we needed a builder. So I kept trying to contact this one house that I fell in love with on Airbnb. He wasn't really returning our calls or messaging us back. So we ended up booking the property just so we can get in touch with him. We ended up getting the meeting. He introduced us to his brother-in-law, which was the builder. But he was telling me that house that we were staying in, right before us, T.I. and the baby were staying there. And right after us, it was Coachella. And he had it rented out for $55K a night.
Holy
for 4
crap.
nights. Yeah. So now that's one of the areas of focus for us. We have launched Dallas and Las Vegas. I think Vegas is going to be an incredible market with the announcement of F1, with the soccer team, with all the sports events that are going on there. They're really making it an entertainment. I mean, it's always been that, but they're adding. They keep. They never stop. They're always adding. And a lot of these hotels, you would be surprised. I started just learning about this. A lot of these hotels, like the MGM, the Conrad, a lot of them are Airbnbs. They're not actually hotel rooms. There's 3 towers at the MGM, say. One of them is residential, and everyone in there is Airbnb-ing it.
Interesting.
So there's a huge market there. There's a lot of potential. And obviously, when Airbnb becomes prominent in a city, the price per square foot always goes up.
Yes.
It always follows.
So where are you buying next after Miami?
Well, I'm still trying to buy in Miami. I still think that's the strongest market. Hollywood being my favorite. That's where they just built the Guitar Hotel.
Yes, Hollywood.
I love it. Nice. Becoming super gentrified. But after Miami, I'm going to go into Arizona. The way I like to look at our personal investments that we do as a company is we look at it as a whole, right? Because we have the blueprint to everything. We see everybody's properties, every single area, and how well it's doing. and what type of property it is. So we can just replicate the top performing properties in our portfolio.
Yeah,
so we kind of have
smart.
the blueprint, the cheat code, and it's always accessible to all of our clients as well.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody calls me for advice, I give them exactly what I would do. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why we've been able to keep close relationships, and especially with us as well. So Arizona is a market that I'm dying to get into because the price per square foot to buy a modern, 5-bedroom home that's about 6,000 square feet is like less than $500, but they're still generating about $40K a month. So because there's so much land in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
It just never ends. And Old Town is one of the hottest areas right now. So looking to get into Arizona next, and then Palm Springs.
Well, wherever you go, I'm going. So that's why I asked
Done.
that question. That was a Matt personal question.
Yep.
Thanks.
I got you. I got you.
And then this is my last question before we end off here. But is the short-term rental game going to survive and thrive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. What I see most is more and more people are adapting towards short-term rentals and vacation rentals. Forget about the home ownership side and the landlord side of things, but the actual guest experience and the guest stays. There's a lot of people that would rather stay in an Airbnb right now than a hotel. Why? Because you don't have to speak to anybody. Millennials hate speaking to a concierge, front desk, checking in, long lineups, this, that, whatever. You just walk into the building, the keys upstairs, you tap your phone, you get in. Super easy. But you have an entire condo or a home accessible to you rather than a 300 square foot apartment. And for the same price sometimes, you know, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but the same price. Marriott wants us to list our properties on their website. You know what I mean? So they also understand that this is where the market is trending. So definitely it's going to survive, going to thrive. And
oh, wow. That's a first.
this is how you end it off right here.
Well,
price to sell.
I think my sign loves him. But, well, man, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for this.
Sorry for the sign malfunction.
I kind of liked it. I think it was a pretty cool way of ending off.
like
This is
it.
going to be a reel.
This will be a real. I kind of like it down here too. But let everyone know where they can find you and the company and all that.
Yeah, so our website is parkpl.co. Go on there. Brian, PJ, a couple of our other sales guys, call the number on there. They'll pick up. They'll walk you through everything from A to Z, anything that you need, any questions you have, and it's a pretty seamless process at the end of the day.
Amazing. We're going to post all your links in our bios as well.
Beautiful.
But to everyone out there, I hope you learned a lot about Airbnb today. And
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. If you need, probably, in my opinion, the best to operate your house or condo, we got the guy on the couch today, and his whole team is fantastic. Love what they do. I can vouch for myself. So thank you again for coming, man.
Absolutely.
Been great.
Thanks for having me.
And to everyone out there, thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we will see you on the next one.